Styles said something interesting in our crossover that I think is a dynamic at play here. He said, when Sam Darnold played, I fell asleep. And see, that's something that I wonder about, because I understand that. Why would there be excitement around Sam Darnold? There's two things that Darnold does not have that Trey does have. Trey is homegrown, and Trey does not have a dismissible resume.
Warts. Sam's got warts.
So when Sam comes in and he just does the things that are backup quarterback-esque, that you want your backup to be able to do, when he does those things, you're just like, whatever. Like, whatever. Okay, great. He hit a 12-yard out pattern. Why am I supposed to be excited about it? Well, Kyle Shanahan is excited by that. That's what he wants. He wants a backup to come in and look solid and make the right decisions. Trey is like this yo-yo. Now, I'm glad he's like a yo-yo, because that now means there's some ups. Against the Raiders, it was just down. This one had some ups and some downs. That's great that there were some ups. But you got to factor that into the conversation and realize that for some of you, Trey looks better than Sam because you want him to, because you're excited about it, because he's a 49er draft pick. I don't personally see how you can come out of Saturday's game and think that Trey Lance looked better than Sam Darnold.
Well, he definitely had some maybe more exciting plays, but he had, like you were saying, the ups and the downs. His ups might have been higher than Sam's, but his downs were much, much lower.
Definitely.
And I think about Kyle Shanahan and really any coach for that matter and what they want in a backup quarterback. They don't want ups and downs. They want somebody who comes in, steadies the ship, runs the plays as needed, makes the throws that need to be made, and gets the win and runs the offense. Yeah, Trey led the team down the field for the game-winning field goal, which was, I think, more a case of yak yards than it was Trey necessarily making big throws. He made a couple of good throws. You mentioned like 6 throws in a row. His last 6 were all on time, and they were good throws, and he looked more comfortable as the game went on. That's great. He looked better than he did in the first preseason game, but the one thing he needs more than anything else is the one thing they can't give him, and that's a ton of reps with the ones in a real game. And that's the frustrating part of the Trey Lance development is you don't have the luxury of being a bad team. Davis Mills could get 15 games under center.
Right.
Go on out there, Davis. Go crazy, because we stink. So no matter what you do, we're going to ride with you for, and get a real good look at you.
You sound like you want, and I get this. I don't think it's going to happen, but I get this. You sound like you want Trey to come in for the second series on Friday night.
I would love to have him in there for the first series. And I don't.
Well, I
personally don't. I don't need to see Brock Purdy anymore at all.
I don't need to see him. I think that's best for Brock. I think it's best for the 49ers, for their guys to go get a sweat on Friday night.
I agree.
Play it safe.
I would say let the guys get a sweat and let Trey Lance be QB1 with those guys. And I don't even know if you're going to play Trent Williams, to be honest, in Friday's game.
He's the guy. He and McCaffrey are the two where I'd be okay if they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be okay if they don't.
And for me, even George Kittle. I don't need to see George Kittle out there doing his thing. You've got a tight end battle where I think you want to look at tight end 3 and tight end 4 and see who's going to make this team, because Warner's going to make it, Dwelly's going to make it, Kittle's going to make it, and you got a couple of guys fighting for largely one spot.
Latu is probably going to make it just because of his draft status. I know that he's been a problem. He was much better on Saturday night. He finally made some plays. That's great. He was fired up by them. That's wonderful. But I don't know. You always have to blend this, because especially now that there's only 3 preseason games, there's 2 things going on late in the preseason. Yes, you are still evaluating to make your final cuts, but you are also officially preparing for the start of the season. So it's not just what we want. We want that drama. We would like to see that. That's much more dramatic. Hard Knocks does not follow, well, this guy's tuning up for week 1.
Sure.
No, they follow who getting cut, who is losing their job, and let's follow them home, right? It's almost like reality TV. Perfect. It's like The Bachelor. Who's getting sent home tonight? All right, who's getting a rose? So that's what we want to follow, but that quite frankly is not the most important thing on Friday night. the most important thing is 49er football. And whatever sets those team one guys up for what will at that point be 16 days out, whatever sets them up for success, to me, that's the most important thing.
Agreed, but I think for the most part, your number ones at every position, they're already set up. I can't imagine that Ayuk and Debo have any routes or any plays that they need to run to get ready, or George Kittle or Trent Williams or the interior offensive linemen, the killer bees. I don't think that any of them need to go out there and get sharper to be ready for 16 days from now. So if you're going to play the ones, I would rather see Trey Lance out there. Let's see what Trey looks like with the ones. Brock Purdy is the starter. The last thing you want is for Brock Purdy to get hurt. So bubble wrap Brock. Let Brock sit there and watch this game. Brock, he's ready to go. The way he looked on Saturday night showed me that the arm is good, the elbow's fine. Well, Brock Purdy, he's ready to go.
That's what we think, but I don't know how he feels, and I don't.
I don't know what Kyle thinks.
I don't know what they want to work on. You touched on something that is obviously a popular response. Trey Lance with the ones. Are you of the belief that if you just stick him out there with the ones, he would suddenly look so much better?
Absolutely.
Really?
And I don't know about so much better, but let's have him play behind the first team offensive line. Okay. Because if you want to talk about concerns going into the season, and we have 20 more days to get into this, and the Red and Gold Summit coming up a week from tomorrow, I'm sure this will be one of the topics. Like, what are you concerned about with the Niners? Well, I'm concerned about the place kicker, the rookie, Jake Moody,
no doubt,
and his ability to be accurate when you need a big kick. And that's secondary because they're going to be a good team and maybe it won't come down to that. But I'm also concerned about the backup O-line because in the two games I've watched, when the twos come in on the offensive line, they don't look good, kid.
No, but important
And that
point.
makes the Trey Lance experience a little bit rougher. Yeah, and the Sam Darnold.
Except for, again, the data suggesting if you want to go, I don't have the data for Saturday's game, but the previous game against the Raiders, Trey had more time than any of the other quarterbacks. Had more time
to throw.
He had the most time to throw of any 49er quarterback. So,
well, the Broncos blitzed a lot more, and you faced their first-team defense for a lot longer.
Yeah, that's true.
And that might have been more Sam Darnold.
Trey didn't get until the third quarter. Here's another thing, though, about the offensive line. I hear that a lot. Oh, the second team doesn't look good. They need to find a few backups. The second-team offensive line looking bad does not mean that if the 49ers need to plug and play one person off of that second-team offensive line, that it would look that bad. Offensive line play is very much a team thing.
Yep.
They are connected. Yep. They have to be working together. I am much more confident, seemingly, than many, that if the 49ers need to stick in a backup right guard, that's not going to suddenly make them look like the second-team offensive line. That's one guy who needs to blend into another crew that, by and large, is, I don't want to call them proven, but they've got a handful of people that I'm not very concerned about. Trent Williams, Banks, Feliciano, they're not. I think they're going to be fine. And if you need to offensive line backups, if you will, you need to find two.
And you mentioned
maybe
Feliciano.
3.
He's definitely one. And Jalen Moore, when he's healthy, is a guy who can fit in at tackle.
He had some good, some bad.
So I see that group as a collective, and it makes me think about Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. It's a little bit more difficult when you're going behind the twos on the offensive line, which is another reason why I'd like to see Trey Lance get some time with that first team and throw to Debo and throw to Ayuk and see what that looks like for Trey.
888-957-9570. How about Michael in Corcoran? Hey, Michael, what are you doing?
Hey, guys. I am just getting off of work right now, actually.
Sweet.
So the overall performance of Trey Lance throughout the entire preseason hasn't earned him the right to be the quarterback 2 position. You have to look at the overall performance and not just the recent game on Saturday for the fans who think he's earned the number 2 spot, which he hasn't. Because actually, if you go by the eye test, Sam Darnold makes it look a lot smoother than Trey Lance. It looks like the offense executes a lot better with Sam Darnold as the quarterback 2 than it does with Trey Lance, because Trey Lance always starts off shaky. Either he fumbles a snap, or he throws an interception, or he's just not clicking right away. You know what I mean?
I just think that I think we watch them differently, Michael. That's all I can say here on this. I think we watch them differently. I think 49er fans don't have any loyalty to Sam Darnold, and I'm not saying they should. I don't know why they would. He's been a failed number 3 overall pick, and he is not a 49er draft pick. So when you see him do little things that are effective, quite frankly, I thought he was good. Not great, but he was good. He was good in the game the other night. When you see him do those little things, they don't stick with you. They don't stand out. I know a lot of people who are rooting against him. And so when you watch this, you see it through that lens. And then Trey comes in. This is true with anything in life. When you're rooting for something, you overlook the negative and you accentuate the positive. And the opposite is true the other way around. So I think a lot of people are ignoring some of the solid, boring, if you will, things that Sam Darnold is doing that are really important, and ignoring some of the things Trey Lance has done this preseason that are not good. But he had a really good run there at the end, which is great to see.